And then I will share my screen. All right, so tonight, you notice I changed my background. I love the mountains and I love hiking. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to finish up Word, and I'm going to show you how to manipulate pictures and put pictures into your Word document, and how you get some options that appear in your Word document to help change the look and the feel of those pictures. I'm also going to discuss tables. Tables is a powerful tool that allows you to make documents that have columns and rows without having to use the tab key. We will also be discussing columns. I already showed you bullets, but I'm going to show you numbering and how you can change the numbering. We'll look at different ways of saving your document in different file formats, how to print your document and some of the options that you have with printing. And then if we have time, I want to show you SmartArt and inserting shapes into your document. And as I said at the beginning, tomorrow make sure you can attend, because I will start Excel. We'll be doing 2 nights of Excel, and Monday is a holiday and we will not have class on Monday. So we'll finish up Excel next week on Tuesday. All right, so I have my screen displayed, and can someone just give me a thumbs up if they can see my screen? Oh, perfect, thank you. And you're the only one I can see, so I'm glad you gave me that. Everyone else has their video turned off. I told my husband, and I said, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to no one. It gets kind of lonely. All right, so on my desktop, I have a folder called Ski Pictures, and I'm going to open one of these pictures in a program called Paint. Paint is a program that comes with your Windows operating system. It's free. It's not even part of the Office. It's just part of Windows. If you have kids, it's a fun program for them to play around. They can draw in it, but it also helps you manipulate pictures. So I'm going to bring this document into Paint, and then I am going to change some things in Paint about it, and then bring it into Word and show you some things you can do in Word. So down here at the bottom of my screen, I am going to type Paint, and you see that app opens up. So I'm going to open up Paint. You notice in the ribbon, I have things like paint brushes, pencils, paint cans, eyedroppers, erasers. I'm going to open one of my ski pictures. And this is not me, but I just brought up a picture of skiing. And I am going to resize this picture. So in Paint, I'm going to resize this picture by clicking the Resize button. And this is something they may ask you to do on the IC3 exam. Notice in Paint, we can resize by percentage or pixels. So let's say that I wanted this reduced by 50%. So I'm going to put in 50%. Notice how I have this box checked that says maintain aspect ratio. That means it will keep in proportion the height and width. If you don't keep that checked, sometimes your pictures will come out looking skewed. You can make someone, you can kind of stretch someone and make them look bigger than they are, or you can stretch it this way and they will look taller than they are. So it's always a good idea to maintain that aspect ratio. I will click OK. You see my picture got smaller. And I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to save that as a JPEG picture. And I'm going to call this Ski 3 small because I made it a smaller size. I'll close up Paint and I will open up my Word document that we've been using. And I want to insert this picture into my document. Anytime you're putting something new into your document, the first place I look is the Insert tab. This is where I insert tables, I insert pictures. The difference between pictures and online pictures, pictures are those pictures that you have stored on your computer. Online pictures are the ones that that are available online. You also have shapes and smart art that I'll be getting into later. We already looked at the headers and footers, and remember last night we also looked at word art as another insert. So I'm going to go to the Pictures button. And I am going to navigate to that folder and find my smaller picture and hit Insert. When I insert the picture, a bunch of things happened. One, you should notice that I have these little boxes all around my pictures. As I hover my mouse over those pictures, you see that I get a arrow, a double-headed arrow. And if I were to drag that, I can change the size of the picture by dragging a size. If I come up to this middle sizing handle, you'll notice that I get a four-headed arrow. I can move the picture, okay? So depending on what you grab, you can size or move the picture around. You also see this arrow at the top. That arrow, you might have noticed last night, I was spinning it to reposition that picture, okay? Also, what happened on the ribbon is I get a new tab that appears called the Picture Tools Format tab. And look at all of the options here that I can do to this picture. Now, I'm not going to go over all of them, but I'm going to go over the important ones. So one that I sometimes will do is I'll go to this color button and I get a drop-down list of all different ways of recoloring this picture. I'm going to just choose a black and white. It's kind of a brownish tone. So that's one thing. The artistic effects. Okay, you can add artistic effects into these. I don't like any of these, so I'm going to just click off of that. The other things that I like is in the picture styles group, there are styles and there is a more button that I can click and I can get different styles of pictures. Maybe I want it to be a circle with a outline. Maybe I don't want it to have an outline. I'll click that and you'll see my picture change based on the style that I have chosen. You can also add picture borders. You can add picture effects. And this has to do when you mostly have smart art, which I will get to later tonight. So I have inserted my picture, and you'll notice that I also got this little button that appeared to the right of the picture. And when I click it, it will show me how text is wrapping around my picture. Okay, if I were to move this picture right now, you see my cursor and it's moving it right in the middle of that word. I'm going to change my text wrapping, and you see the different options here. You can say in front of text, and then when I move the text, I can move it around freely. Another option, sorry, sometimes your screen gets in the way, is behind the text. So I could put this and the picture is behind the words. So you have different options that you can select on the picture. Now I'm going to make that picture, I'm going to move that picture so it's a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to move it over to this space. Another option that you can do with pictures is cropping a picture. So think of cropping a picture as cutting off parts of the picture that you do not want, okay? Over here in the size group, you can say what size picture you want. So if I, instead of dragging with my mouse, if I knew I wanted it 3 inches by 3 inches, I could just type in that size. If I wanted to crop my picture, remember that if you hit the button, you'll get the default. If you select the drop down, you'll get options to crop. So I could crop this to a particular shape, a heart. Or let me undo that. I could crop it, and you see how I get those little black handles all around my picture. And I could drag those handles. This is kind of funky because I'm doing it on a I could drag these in and crop off. I hit the crop again, and my picture has now been cropped. So those are all options with pictures in Word. Let me pause for a moment and see if anyone has any questions. You definitely will be asked that to insert pictures into a document and make some changes to that document. Yes, making flyers, really fun with pictures, making birthday cards, making invitations. Heck, make your own Father's Day card. You don't even need to use one of the templates. All right, the next thing I'm going to talk about are tables. So I'm going to go to the bottom of this document. So I'm going to go Control Function End, which will take me down to the bottom of my document. And I'm just going to hit Enter a few times. Oh, Amy, you had a question?
In the chat, there was another question. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me just look. Hold on, I got to go all the way down.
I can just read it aloud.
It says, should you always save the pictures as JPEG? No, not necessarily. But on the exam, they will always tell you which format to save in. The two common ones, JPEG and PNG. PNG tends to make a smaller file than JPEG. All right. So now I'm at the bottom of my document and I'm going to create a table. I don't know how many of you have to create documents that have columns and rows, but tables make it so much easier. And again, anytime you're going to put something new into your document, you should look at the Insert tab because that's generally where we'll find these items. So you see the button for table. There is a drop down. When I click it, the easiest way to insert a table is to use this little grid. The grid lets you specify how many columns and how many rows you want. If you don't get it right the first time, it's very easy to add columns and rows. I'm just going to do a 2-by-1 table, meaning it's going to have 2 columns, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to add rows. So I'll click that, and a couple of things happened in my document. So you see that I have these lines, and if I go to my Home tab and turn on my Show Hide button, you'll notice I get this 4-headed arrow in a box. That is Word's symbol to indicate that you have a table. And then you see, I call them almost like starbursts. Those are symbols to indicate the end of a cell in a table. And again, remember that Show Hide button, it just shows or hides, excuse me, hold on. Characters that aren't printed. By default, it does put a border around your table, but you'll see in a minute, I can easily change that. So let's say I'm getting ready for my fall schedule, and in the first column, I want classes, and then I want day and time in the second column. To get a new row and to move from one column to another, all you do is press the tab key. So see how I press tab and I just automatically got a new row with those 2 columns in it. If I need to move backwards, I can use the Shift tab and I'll move backwards in my table and tab will move forward. Okay, so in the fall, I'm taking BUS 100 and it meets on Mondays from 9 to 11 a.m. And I'm just using tab to move from one cell to the next. I'm also taking CIS 118. It meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 1 p.m. And then I'm taking Math 123, and it meets on Fridays from 9 to 12. Okay, just making that up. but a real quick way using tables of not having to set tabs to move from one column to the next. When you have a table and you click on that select table button, notice it automatically selects all the rows in your table, and up in your ribbon, you get two new tabs, the Design tab and the Layout tab. These are all things that you can do in the table. So let's look at the table styles first. I can choose from this drop down different table styles, and it will automatically apply those styles to my table. I can select different border styles. Okay, now it didn't change my borders because I had already chosen a particular style, but you notice that my insertion point changed into a little paintbrush, and I could drop that border in different locations. I really don't use that button much. I tend to just apply one of the styles and keep with the style that I selected. Oh, I don't like that one. Let me undo. Okay. So table styles. Now let's look at the layout tab. The layout tab has a whole bunch of options as well. These are only available when you're working in a table. I'm going to select this first column of information. You'll notice that when I position my insertion point, I can select that column. I can change the fonts or the size, but I can also change the alignment. Okay, remember we talked about alignment last night. When you're in a table, instead of only having 4 alignments, you have 9 different alignments. Okay, and you can easily, I'm going to pick this middle one, and you'll see that the text is centered. Okay. I'm going to switch it back to left because I think it looks better. You also have in this the auto fit button. The auto fit button will automatically adjust the width of your column depending on the longest item in the column. So watch if I just click auto fit contents. Did you see how that column got a lot shorter because it's just fitting the word classes so that it fits? And my day and time got skinnier or narrow as well. I'm going to select the whole table, go to the Home tab, and center the whole table so that it is centered in my document. And finally, I'm going to go to my Borders button. And if I want no borders, I click the drop down and I selected no borders, so I don't have any lines between my columns or my rows. Now I have color because I had selected that table style, but I don't have any grid lines. So tables are especially helpful in Word because they allow you to set up columns and rows of data in a very neat and organized way. And the options for a table only become available when you select within the table. If you're selected just in the text, notice those tabs are not available. It's only when you're selected on a table that you have those options. All right, I'd like to hear in chat from you, anyone use tables before? Yes, okay. I have Latanya, great. Michael has. Norma, okay, thank you. They're very powerful. Like I said, people get so frustrated with tabs that tables, I try to use tabs very infrequently. I try to do things in tables instead. And some of the templates that we looked at yesterday, they are based on tables. How do you know they're based on tables? When you hover over a table, if you see this four-headed arrow in the box, that is an indication to you that this was done in a table. It may not even look like a table to you, but as soon as you see that box and you see these new tabs in your ribbon, you know that it is a table that they use to format that document. All right, I'm going to move on to columns. And I know a lot of us don't read newspapers anymore, but you may recall when you have a newspaper or a magazine or a newsletter that you got, you would have columns of information that you would read. Well, Word has the ability to create columns in your document. It's used a lot of times in desktop publishing. So I'm going to go up to this first page, and I am going to select some text that I want to make into columns. So I'll do these first three paragraphs. So notice I selected that text. And remember, anytime I'm putting something into my document, I'm going to go to, I always think, oh, go to insert. And every time I get it wrong, I forgot, it's the layout tab. Sorry. Here's columns. When you select the drop down, you get choices on the type of column you want to create. So let's do a left column. And you'll see I took those three paragraphs and now I created like a narrow left column, and then over at the right, the other two. While I'm here, I can go into more columns and I can further specify how I want this document to look. You see, I get a little preview in the window at the right. It says that I have two columns. I want to see what this looks like. A line between the columns, and you see how it just draws a dividing line just to help you kind of space out your document. We use columns to make our document, especially if you're creating a flyer or a newsletter, just to make it more interesting to look at. And again, if you were to turn on the show hide button, you would see that you got some special things because you turned on columns. It did a section break here and down here to indicate that this part of the Word document is a column. If you wanted to bring it back, of course you could do undo, but you could also, whoops, I lost my selection there. You could also go to columns and bring it back to 1, and it will be back to the way it was. So that is how columns work and is very helpful for anyone who does flyers or desktop publishing, graphic design work. I'm going to go down to the bottom of my document again. And we're going to talk about numbering and bullets. We did some bullets on Tuesday, and I showed you how you could customize your bullets. I don't know if anyone played with that, but I want to show you what happens when you start bulleting or numbering something, and then if you want to turn it off, and then you want to turn it on again. So I'm going to turn on my numbering, and I'm going to start listing states that I have visited or that I've lived in, let's say. So obviously Colorado, and I am originally from Illinois. And then I'm going to hit enter, but the next thing that I'm entering, I don't want it to be numbering. You can either come up to the ribbon and turn off your numbering, or you can just hit enter again and it will leave a little extra space, and I can say countries that I've lived in and turn back on numbering. Now, I really haven't lived in any other countries. I'm just fantasizing right now. But notice when I turned on my number, the number turned to the number 1, but to the right of that number 1, you see a little lightning bolt. If you click on that lightning bolt, you can continue numbering. If I click that, that will change to a 3. So that you can control how numbering gets turned on and off. So I would love to live in Italy someday. Where else would I like to live? Portugal, if I could speak the language. Mexico, okay. So turning on and off bulleting and numbering. And when you have numbers, you can continue your numbering by going over to that little lightning bolt and changing your numbers. Yes, you can make them Roman numerals, Norma. If you select those and you come up to your numbering, you click the arrow to the right of the numbering, and here is where you have the option to change how it is being numbered. All right, when we save a document, remember by default, Word saves our document with the file extension of DOCX. There are some other common ways to save a file, and that is a PDF file or a TXT file. Many times we save a file as a PDF file when we're going to email it to someone and we're not sure if they have Word. Okay, so let me just show you when I go to the File tab. There's a couple of ways I can do this. I can go to Save As, and I can, in the Save drop down right here, I can choose the file type. So there's PDF. And when I click save, it will save this file as a PDF. Notice I'm no longer in Word. It actually opened up my web browser and showed me this as a PDF file. PDF files are nice, like I said, if you're not sure what the recipient has as far as software applications. In that same file, remember it's also called the Backstage view. Save as, you probably noticed some other ways to save your document. TXT is a common way to save a document. It's just plain text and it doesn't take any of the formatting that has been applied. But again, sometimes people will save as TXT if they're trying to transfer a file from one type of software application to another type of software application. So different ways of saving your document. Now, what about opening a document in Word? Let me just, I'm not going to save this. Let's say that I opened Word and someone sent me a TXT file and I want to open that. So I go to my open dialog box. I browse to find that TXT file that someone sent me. And I find it in this folder. And sorry, this should have defaulted to Word documents. Okay. And right now, if it looks like I can't find any TXT. I only am looking at Word documents. And sometimes people get confused with this because they're like, how am I supposed to open the TXT file? I can't even see it. Well, that's because when you go into the open dialog box, it defaults to only finding those files that are Word documents. If you want to open other types of documents, you have to click that drop down. I chose text files, and now you see I get a much different file that is available, and I can open it. And it is just text that has not had any formatting. This is a syllabus that I use for one of my classes. All right, let's go to the Backstage view and look at some of our print options. You're probably very familiar with print. You have here how many copies are going to print. I've seen that question on the exam, like change it so that you print 3 copies of this. This is where you change your printer. Print all pages, or if you want to just print a certain page, like page 2, or page 2 through 4, or page 2, 4, meaning just those 2 pages. So you can use commas and hyphens in that pages area. You can also change your orientation here, the size of your paper here, your margins here, and how many sheets get printed per sheet. Okay, and sometimes these change depending on the capability of your printer. So that is the print or the backstage view? All right, I am going to pause for a minute and check out chat to see if anyone has a question. All right, let me show you a few other things that are really just, I think, fun in Word. So I'm going to open a blank Word document to have some fun. And I'm going to turn off the show hide button just so I don't have too much on my screen. And I'm going to go to the Insert tab. On the Insert tab, shapes. Okay, shapes are fun. So let's say you wanted to include some shape on your document. I chose a smiley face. Notice my insertion point changes to a crosshair. With that crosshair and my mouse, I can drag to get that shape. Notice when I get that shape, a bunch of things change on my screen. One, I get these sizing handles, just like I did when I inserted the picture. I can size this larger. I can move this around. Also on my ribbon, I got a new tab called Format. I can change the style. Oh, you can't see the mouth on that one. Let's see, there, that one's better, okay. I can change the style of my shape. I can, let's see if I have a soft edge of my shape. You can spend hours playing with shapes, and you can have shapes that kind of make up a diagram with connectors. If you do any flow charting, you can create flow charts using this insert shape. So that is fun. You can also, let me just delete this. Another fun thing on the Insert tab is something called Smart Art. Okay, Smart Art, there are a whole bunch of different diagrams that you can use to demonstrate your point. Smart Art is available not only in Word, but where a lot of people use it is in PowerPoint, because they're doing a presentation, and we know sometimes, you know, real simple bullet points make a much bigger impact on people than just a whole bunch of text on a screen. You can see, I'm just going to kind of go through there's a whole bunch of different Smart Art you can pick from. All right, I am going to, which one am I going to pick? I'm going to pick this one. Okay. So when I chose Smart Art, again, notice I get some new tabs that appear at the top of my document. The Smart Art that I happen to choose allows me to put text. So maybe I'm introducing our management team. So here I could type different names of people. These little thumbnails mean that I can put a picture in, and to put a picture in, you just click and you can get a picture from your computer or online. So let me just put in. I can move these around. I can change the style of the smart art. I can change the colors of the smart art. I can add more graphics in the smart art. So notice after Jake, if I hit enter, see how I got a new box and I could put someone else's name. So you can have a lot of fun with smart art and really jazz up, especially like I said, in PowerPoint. All right, let me go to the bottom of my document and hit enter a few times and just type some of your names. Oops, Conrad, I spelled your name wrong. Okay. The last thing that I want to show you is in Word, you can sort paragraphs. You could do this in a table as well. Okay, same concept, works the same way. So I have a list of names here. I'm going to highlight those names. And I am going to go up to my home tab in the paragraph group where I see that A to Z with a down pointing arrow. And when I click it, it says, oh, do you want to sort by paragraphs? Is this text? What order do you want them in? Ascending means A to Z, and descending means Z to A. And how I always remember is A starts with ascending, so it's going to be in A to Z order. When I click OK, it rearranges those 6 paragraphs so that they are in alphabetical order. It's a fun one, especially if you do a lot with list. And as I said, you can do this in a table as well. So that can be very helpful. All right, I want to hear from you now because I've been talking for 50 minutes. And I want to hear how you're coming on the lessons, if you've noticed anything. About taking the exams, just general comments to kind of do a check-in with you as our week is almost over.
Mr. Michael here. I got a quick question. When
Yes.
you go to take the test, is it going to be kind of just like how ours are when we do the home one, where if you do one thing incorrectly, you have to restart it all the way over?
Yes. I hate to say it, but yes. And sometimes, like when I remember when I took the test, if I lost track of what I was doing, you can reset the question. And I think that's what you mean, right, Michael?
Yes.
Yes. So what he's asking, Norma, is you know how when you are going through the exercise labs, if you get stuck somewhere, you might have to reset the question and, like it might be asking you to do 4 things. Bold this, change the line spacing, add a color, and do this. And you get like 3 of them done, and then it's like stuck. You might have to reset the question. I believe that's what you were asking, right, Michael?
Yes.
Yes. But it's each question right now, the whole thing. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Any other comments, questions, things about
This is
Word?
Latanya. I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have to do it this specific way, will it count you? Will it take points away if you like have to keep redoing it? Like if you don't know that you need to do it a different way, will it take points away until?
No,
Okay.
no. It's not like, the ACT where guessing you shouldn't guess, you should always try to answer. And it doesn't record what you're doing. It just knows if you got it right or not. And next week on the last night, I'm going to show you, you can even watch, don't ask me how this person did it, but they did a YouTube version, a YouTube video of themselves taking the exam. So you can, I'll show you how to pull it up. So you can see exactly what it's like. But I will tell you, and I'm not even looking for a job, and I get people who constantly now, because I've now taken all 3 of the IC3. I also took the Excel, I took the Word, I've taken the Outlook, I've taken the PowerPoint one. And because I have all those digital badges on my LinkedIn profile, it really generates a lot of traffic to my profile, and I'm constantly getting people who are looking at my profile. You guys, honestly, as a class, overall, when I saw your pre-assessment scores, I feel very confident, especially those of you that were in the 60s. You are going to do well because you have had some experience, and you did so well on the pre-assessment that when you get through these lessons, I feel like you will be ready for the test.
How long before your videos are uploaded to the YouTube channel?
I should, are they not?
I haven't seen the latest ones.
Okay, you know what? I put them in this Google Drive and someone else is supposed to put them out into YouTube, but I will text him tonight and make sure that's done. Thank you, Michael. Oh, sorry. It says like I get a little thing of who's speaking. It said Michael.
Wasn't me.
All right, any other questions? Remember, tomorrow night we're starting Excel, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with Excel. All right, guys, I will let you go. Have a great evening and enjoy this weather.
You guys be safe.
Yes, you too. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.